I'm same as Yanni, just 28.
Point 28 in the submission. So Yanni and Aaron. Thank you. Thank you. Right, the next item on the agenda is on a separate one, and that's the Mayor's report. So I will just quickly introduce that. As I've advised staff, and I think there was a story in the paper this morning, I haven't actually looked at it yet, but the Finance and Performance Committee resolved back in September last year to approve the Urban Growth Partnership Memorandum of Agreement, and you'll understand that because we're part of the the Greater Christchurch Partnership, this had to be signed off by Christchurch, Waimakariri, Selwyn, Environment, Canterbury. And it has been signed off by all of those councils, and it has now been signed off by Cabinet. So with the result of the Cabinet decision, we now need to move to the implementation, and I would have done this at the time actually, just got agreement in principle, but for some reason we left the implementation side. So we need to appoint the committee, and we need to delegate to the committee the delegations and financial delegations of the Memorandum of Agreement, and we need to and there's an extension to include Kāinga Ora as a member of the Chief Executive Advisory Group along with the others, and then appoint the Greater Christchurch Partnership Committee members to this committee, and then to resolve that it's not discharged after the triennial general elections. That enables the new membership of the committee to be reappointed after the election, but it doesn't mean that you have to go through the process of re-establishing it as a committee, and then delegate the authority to adopt a new name. So they're the recommendations that are going to all of the committees. And then there's an additional resolution that's been added to the resolutions today, which is to note the implications of urban growth and population demands on the provision of schools and the wider education network, and work with the Ministry of Education as a matter of priority. So that's picking up some issues that councillors have raised. And then a separate one, which I'll let Yanni refer to, specifically, I was at the Transitional Cathedral on ANZAC Day and saw one of these poppy bowls, but I'll let him introduce that. And I'll just refer to my report briefly, and it had noted the establishment of the Urban Growth Partnership with Greater Christchurch. I did comment on the ICC Women's World Cup. It was absolutely outstanding. I just felt so proud of the city. I mean, it couldn't have been better weather. The Oval was amazing. Thousands of people turned up, and New Zealand wasn't even in the final. You know, it was just outstanding on every level. Last week I spoke to the Māori Women's Welfare League's annual conference, and I had the opportunity to see an advanced screening of Whina. It's the story of Whina Cooper, and I'm just going to recommend it to everyone. It's a story for our time today, and if there's ever a time that we need to build a bridge between two worlds, I think she offers something pretty special to our country, actually. Or her story does. The government has announced its response to the Three Waters Reforms working group, and I've made a slightly less than positive reference to the so-called Better Off funds, but I have said that I will bring a report to next week's council meeting so that we can have a look at what is being proposed in that regard. And Anzac Day commemorations. there was something else that was pretty spectacular. Oh yeah, the bridge hub in South New Brighton. So I don't know if people remember, but we made a grant to them to purchase the building. So I looked it up beforehand, and in my speech I referred to the fact that they had come to the council on the 25th of August 2016, and they had presented, and I talked about what this meant, and I sort of said it was for me a dream come true, and it was, because this is about council supporting communities owning their own future, and it just, to me, it was the culmination of all of the things that had happened in between. And I invited the chair before we even started the ceremony. I invited the chair to come and give us a report back as a council. And when I was sitting on the stage waiting to speak, I thought, I'm just wondering what's the closest date to the 25th of August. And I saw there's a council meeting on the 25th of August. So I was able to say that. And it was kind of like, there was like a moment where it felt like closure. So it was, I'm pretty excited about the fact that they're coming to see us on the 25th of August to present the outcome of a journey that began 6 years ago. Well, actually began back in 2011, really. Right, so I'm happy to move my report. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
Sorry, just very quickly. Just remind me, the Better Off funding for this.
Can we call it the betterment funding? Because I just find the Better Off funding so offensive that I won't use it.
It's so that nobody is worse off or something. But anyway, my question is, the Betterment Fund, is that the fund that we've been told, should we take it up, that it can be used on anything?
Yes, but I actually want us to actually consider whether we would want to focus it on a particular element of Three Waters, but this is what I want to report back on next week, and that's the stormwater side of things, because that is the side of things where government should be not let off the hook as far as historic funding goes, but historic degradation goes. So I want to do some work on that, but start a conversation next week. But we are going to have a workshop. Every single mayor that I've spoken to that is considering this now have all talked about setting up workshops with their councils to actually talk through these issues first, and we've got till September, as I've said, so there's no rush to make any decisions, but we do need to have factual information. We do need to make give some direction at some point relatively soon about the type of issue, if we were to apply for the fund, what are the types of issues that we would want to have covered in that. And then finally, the final set of applications before it went in. So there's several steps, a lot of water to go under the bridge,
that would
as
be
it were.
Part of our submission to the select committee?
No. The select committee's the bill. So the bill is will be introduced, I'm thinking about June. Yeah. So I said that the government's, so the report next week will have two parts to it. One is the government's response to the Three Waters Reforms Working Group, and the other is the opening of the application process for the betterment funds. They're two separate issues.
Okay, and then that fund does not become live until 2024? No.
Some of it comes live now, and some of it, the balance of it. But so I think, I can't remember the amount off the top of my head, but I'm thinking about $30 million first stage, and then the balance won't be dealt with until the 2024.
Yeah, and it's a pot of 500 across New Zealand, 500 million, is that correct? Yeah. I think it was, wasn't it?
All of it will be in the report.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to have the report next week, and that's why I just didn't have the bandwidth really to deal with this in the time frame all I'm doing is signalling that that's the report that I'll bring back next week.
Thank you.
Cool.
Just on that, it would be really useful in the report if there's some legal advice around compliance with the Local Government Act. So whether by taking the money or acting in the best interest of the ratepayers of Christchurch, if it is sort of succeeding to government.
No, we'll ask for that next week. So we're not going to. It's only a statement report of where we're up to. So we'll ask for legal advice as a result of that.
Right. Oh, so it's just a. Oh, okay.
Well,
So this is a precursor. So this is an update. An update for an update.
no. Next week we'll have a report that tells us what the government's response was in a public meeting of the council, which we haven't had yet, on the governance working group. That's going to be the basis for the changes to the law, which will be introduced by way of a bill, which will come in probably about June. So we will be sitting around the council table and we will publicly debate our submission that will go to the select committee. In terms of the issue around the betterment funds, then we will have, probably it's more like a, this is what we've received, this is what we've been told, and we're going to have a workshop with you to discuss any parameters and options. But I mean, all I'm saying is that, of course, legal advice is going to have to be part of it, because there are conditions within the agreement that councils would have to sign in making the submission, which I have asked for different advice on. So we will have advice on all elements of the document, but it won't be ready for next week. It's a significant series of steps to go before we would make a decision as to whether we'd apply or not. So can I answer your question this way? Before we make a decision to apply, we will have legal advice to support the legality of our obligations under the Local Government Act. Any other questions on my report? Because otherwise I'll get Yanni to speak to his. Do you want to just? Oh, do you want to? I don't know. You're happy to move. I'll second my own report.
Yeah. I'm happy to second
Okay, and yeah. So we've acknowledged that, yeah, but what we haven't done is just that you have some wording on your amendment that's.
Yeah.
But, okay, I'll just let you speak to it.
I'll just speak to it. Just wanted to acknowledge, because this is the first mayoral report since ANZAC Day, but there was a guy, Jimmy Gordon from the West Coast, who has made a number of ANZAC poppy bowls, which I've just put up here. They're made on the West Coast from native trees, Rimu, Totara, Matai Beach, and the Pounamu has come from the rivers of the West Coast as well. And I just wanted to just quickly acknowledge and just read a short snippet from his letter of testimony that accompanied the gifting of the bowl. In my particular case, the bowl was gifted to the Aranui RSA, and it was at a celebration or commemoration at St Ambrose Church in Aranui, where this was received. But he just starts, he says, "It was just on lockdown number 4 a year ago. There was a small warm whisper, not to my ear, but to my soul, not once, but many times, Jimmy, make poppy bowls." And then he just goes on to write a number of things about the importance of these bowls to recognising that the ANZAC poppies will stand head and shoulders above all tall poppies, that the poppies are a symbol of respect, integrity and celebration, and are the very reason for our wonderful lifestyles that we have today and take for granted, and to give us pause to take stock of the many thousands of lives that were lost in all wars, to give thanks, to reflect, to give solace, giving a gratitude to those who have gone on before. And so I just thought it was really important as a city to just acknowledge the really wonderful gift that he's given to marae, to churches and to RSAs, both in Christchurch and in New Zealand. And these were all made lovingly by his hand in a small rusting workshop in an old single garage during heavy rainfall. And the bowls were covered with sheets of plastic to save them from the water damage. There is one exception which I thought was important just to mention, particularly for Christchurch, that there's one exception of the bowls not being made from native timber, which is the wood of the English elm. This was a tree that he purchased in the 1980s. It was an elm tree that was felled along with many other English trees at Bishop's Court in Christchurch to make way for progress. Those trees were over 100 years old. And he just acknowledges that he's made 5 large ANZAC poppy bowls from this tree. He doesn't ask for any payment for his service, and he has asked in his letter of testimony, he did say that really just, and I'll just conclude with this, his conclusion. In conclusion, I ask in 20, 30, 50 or 70 years from now that any of these bowls go astray and are found at an op shop, second hand or for sale anywhere, I ask the youth of today to quietly uplift the bowl, pay for the bowl and return the bowl back to the church or the RSA. These bowls are never to be used for domestic use, as this would be a great betrayal. This is a letter from my heart, a bit long-winded, so go tell it on the mountain. Yours sincerely, Jimmy Gordon. So really moving bowls, and I just hope that council will agree to acknowledge formally its gratitude and also to write a letter of appreciation. Thank you.
I'm glad that people acknowledge that with that acclamation. I just wanted to say thank you to Jani Johansson for raising this today in the way that he has, and for the very sort of kind of sensitive but appropriate appreciation that's recorded for Jimmy Gordon and what he's done. And I was quite touched with that phrase about he was spoken to, and it was something he had to do. So I'm just overwhelmingly happy about that to be added to the report. So I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. It's carried. Thank you very much. Kia whakaerea te tapu, kia wātea ai te ara, kia turuki whakatata ai, kia turuki whakataha ai. Homie hui e, tai ki e. I declare the meeting closed. Thank you.